One of the hardest things about teaching martial arts, being a self-defense instructor, is being a real self-defense instructor. When I say that, it's because it's the job of a true sensei, crew, a seafood trainer, instructor. We won't say trainer. Trainer's a little different, but an instructor, a self-defense instructor, to frustrate you, to piss you off, to scare you, to shock you. So of course, nobody likes that. A lot of people, when you work all day, and you want to go to your workout to be relieved and feel better. And it's the job, like for instance, my job is to find my students' weaknesses, that'll get their asses whipped on the streets and exploit them. But first of all, discover them, reveal them, and then exploit them on the training floor so I can show them how to protect it and how to strengthen everything around it so that that doesn't happen to them on the streets where somebody else discovers it, exploits it, and hurts them or kills them. So it can be an uncomfortable position because a lot of people, as they start to get close to me, they just want compliment after compliment after compliment. And, as a true sensei, a sifu, a crew, whatever it is self-defense, you're not going to do that. When I train people, this is what I say to you. I say, you're afraid. You're afraid of these criminals. You're afraid of the situation. You're afraid of getting harmed by crime. All right. So I'm going to train you, and you're going to learn to no longer, well, first of all, to be aware and see potential problems where they can occur. And then you're going to be trained on how to deal with them. You're going to learn to understand these people, understand their intentions, and understand where you have to be for them to follow through with what they want to do to harm you. So now you're aware of that. All right, so then you're going to learn how to stay away from those situations, or you're going to be a step ahead when they're getting ready to make their move. So now you no longer fear them. You're not going to be afraid to go here. You're not going to be afraid to go there. You're not going to be afraid of this person who's trying to put that intimidation out. Then you're going to get to the point where you actually want, a problem to occur because you want to test your stuff. You're going to trust your stuff. The stuff I'm training in, your instincts. You're going to see your body doing things that you never believed it could do. And I have students like that right now. I got a 63-year-old man who's never kicked above his waist, and right now he can put his foot up here and put it right back down with no problem. Never imagined he'd be able to do that. So I say that's the next step is you're going to want your stuff to be tested, not afraid of it. Just kind of hoping, we won't say hoping yet, but you're ready. You're not afraid if somebody decides to attack you. You're gonna be kind of happy because you've been wanting to try stuff. And then the last stage is you actually are wanting confrontation. That's when you're sure of your stuff, you're sure of your techniques, you're sure of your skill, you understand that you are faster than the average person, the above average person. You are quicker, you are way steps ahead. You can read what they're about to do. You know how to position your body to put their body out of position. You know where to hit. You trust that you can hit and strike or do whatever it is you're supposed to do harder, so hard that it's going to cause harm to a human body. When you get to that point, then you're almost looking for these problems. That's where I want someone in self-defense. That's where you're totally ready. You're walking around and you're looking. Hey, is there a criminal here? Is he going to attack me? Yeah. Hey, go ahead, grab me by the neck. Hey, come on over here and do that. I'm waiting to destroy you because I know that I can. Then that's where the discipline and the self-control kicks in and the humility kicks in to not do that and assure that you still keep yourself from those positions so you don't have to harm another human being or take the chance on getting harmed, because the first rule of self-defense is never underestimate anyone. Or the first one is don't be offensive, but you never underestimate anyone. So it can be difficult teaching martial arts people because people, they want what they pay for. People want comfort. They want, compliments. They want things. They want to show you. I see this a lot. People come and join. They want to show me what they know. And it doesn't matter what someone knows if someone joins me. And you could be the baddest dude in the world or the baddest girl in the world that I've ever seen. And I'm still going to challenge to make you better. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to find these weaknesses. If you can throw 12 kicks, jump in there and throw 12 kicks in the air and knock the booger out of a mosquito's nose, that's awesome. Now I'm going to see if you can throw 15 kicks and knock the booger out of a flea's nose. So we still are always, as a sensei, an instructor, a crew, a seafood, it's our job to continuously always challenge the person. And that can be hard. You can lose a lot of people for that because people get tired of getting challenged. But that is the martial arts. Now, there is a point where I'll stop people and I'll say, hey, you can just maintain. But one of the things that happens is with the martial arts, I noticed people think you get to learn this stuff and then you don't have to do it anymore and you get to hold that status or you get to actually move forward. That's not the way it goes. This stuff is perishable as can be. You cannot stop training in the martial arts or self-defense, and think that when the moment comes that you get tested for real, that you're going to be able to do it the way you did it when you learned it and you tested, for a belt ranking or whatever it was, or a competition, and you were at the best that you could be. This is something that you have to continuously keep doing. But that is the thing you always remember, it's a sensei's duty, to frustrate you. Like me, I mess with my students all the time. I always catch them off guard and do something to them. Right when I see them getting happy and man, I'm doing great. I love this. Wow, man, I never imagined I was gonna be able to do a spin kick. And hey, I'm in great shape now. This is the best shape I've been in. I'm this old. I'm 50 something years old. And I'm in better shape than I was when I was, when I was 16, man. Hey, my mind is great. I was at work today. Somebody tried to piss me off. It didn't even bother me. It was so weird. That person used to bother me so much. And they're telling me all this. I'm like, yeah, that's great, And they want me to bring out the pom-poms and start cheering for them and all that stuff. That ain't happening. I look at them, I catch them off balance. Guess what? A high-ranked person's going to be here for them to spar with tomorrow. So when they walk in thinking they top dog, they're going to see that car to that person who usually whoops their butt. And they're going to say, oh, is that person here? And I've been told that. They come in, they get caught off guard. I'm like, come on, you sparring today. And they just look at me like, are you sure? I say, what your eyeballs all big for? You see a piece of candy in here or something? Get up and let's go spar, man. But that's what's going to happen. That shock is when somebody attacks them. And they'll spar and do great. Afterwards, they'll say, yeah, I was not ready for that today. I had a bad day. That's usually the way it goes. So you have to understand this. If you're going to do martial arts for the right reason, for personal development or personal protection, character development, anything, you have to be willing to accept being challenged. You have to be willing to accept being thrown off guard. You're always going to have stuff tossed at you that you don't know and that you can't do. That's why you're going to an instructor to learn. It shouldn't be this thing where your instructors are there to make you feel good about yourself. That's not the way that works. You feel good as you accomplish these goals, and then you feel good knowing that another challenge is there to help make you better. But that's something to just keep in mind, or to understand about if you're really trying to learn martial arts for the right reason. And I would say I've had students, who've quit. You can go look at my reviews. They're not just all perfect reviews because I don't just smile up to everybody. I challenge people, and you'll see the reviews, but just read the reviews. I always tell people, read the reviews. You'll know, and you'll see the character of that individual as you read through them. That shows, but there's many times that I'll go to my assistant and I'll say, hey, get ready to take this person off the list because they're probably about to quit. And she'll give me that look like, oh, we need to make money. I say, well, that's too bad, man. I'm not here to sell martial arts. They pay me so I can teach them and I can have a place to teach them at, but I'm not selling martial arts. That's not the way this works because I can't do that. If they're not willing to listen to me and learn properly, they're not going to learn the martial arts. So I cannot sell martial arts. So I've done that, and I say 9 out of 10 times I'm correct, and I'll even see it come. I say this person's getting ready to quit because of this and that, this person, this and that. Or I talked to them today, they thought they were king crap, and I showed them that they weren't, and They're not going. Their ego's not going to take it. And most of the people who've quit with me, it's been because of their ego, and that's why most people quit in the martial arts. I'll say this plain and simple as day. The only difference between a black belt and a white belt is ego. A black belt is just a white belt who never quit. He listened or she listened and she didn't stop. And that's what happens. I see people when they get to a point where they're challenged and they don't want to listen to me, then that's when they end up quitting. I've got a student, he's a great example. I'm trying to do a testimonial video on him if I can get him off ninja status. Some people don't want to know that they're being trained. But that was 3 or 4 times that we talk about that he was going to quit, and I was even going to tell him that he probably needed to stop because I didn't want to keep taking his money. But then I did something to him that was redundant and boring and senseless to, first of all, test to see if he trusted me over his own distrust of himself. And he trusted me. He did what I said. And at that moment, 10, 15 minutes later after he did what I told him, boom, he improved. He would see it and feel it and say, hey, you know what? And I say, yes, I see that you just did. Now, at moments like that, I do break the pom-poms out and the popcorn and a pack of peanuts and a sports watch. You know what I'm saying? Because it's an invigorating, happy moment for me also. But I watched this guy climb like this. I hope I can get him to do a testimonial video. Climb from these positions where he should not been capable of to do what he is capable of doing right now. But that's because at the moment he didn't believe in himself, he believed in me and the fact that I believed in him. That's the way that triangle works right there. And it bounces off the sensei, the crew, your instructor, and bounces right back to you. If it's a sensei or crew or instructor you can trust, you got to make sure you pick the right person. You can't just pick somebody because they're talking crap out there, check credentials, all that kind of stuff. But if you're going to be in the martial arts, just remember that you should be frustrated. You should be challenged while you're improving. Now, not while you're getting beat down, you're getting hurt, you're somebody's punch dummy, or somebody sitting there patronizing you and showing you stuff. Somebody showing you stuff supposed to be real. You should be able to challenge it and test it and see if it really works against somebody who's trying to make it fail, not against somebody who's trying to make it succeed. I've had a student, I taught the students some grab escapes, and so they went and tried it with an outsider, and it didn't work for them. They brought it back to me, say, hey, I tried this, and the person got me. And I said, okay, well, show me exactly what happened. And they showed me, and I said, well, first of all, you're doing it wrong. That's not this type of grab escape for that type of grab. So there's certain techniques for certain things, and you didn't use the right thing for that. So that's why it did not work. However, with the way this individual grabbed you, this is what you do. And I showed the person, I said, oh my God, okay, then what I say now, you want to test that on, I'm gonna go for it. However, I do always recommend not trying it on people outside the dojo. And I said, but if that's your thing, you're an adult, that's on you. And I'm always gonna show you what's gonna work. If you got some hothead who's grabbing you and pushing you around, then use it on them, So keep that in mind. If you're really trying to learn the martial arts, you gotta be in a position where you're constantly frustrated, constantly touching yourself. Your instructor's duty is to frustrate you. That's what they're there to do, to help you become better.